Okay, so texturing the shirt and pants. So what I'm going to do is just hide the body, and we'll assign a new material to the shirt and the pants. So I'm going to select them both, hit the space bar, and assign new material, mudbox material, and we can just call this clothing. Now these share the same UV space, so it's okay to have them on the same material because they're going to have the same texture anyway, even though they're separate objects. So go back to our 3D view, and for now I'm just going to hide the shirt. So let's focus on the pants at first. So we have a little bit of a issue here because our belt is actually the same part of the model as the rest of the pants. So we need to kind of try to separate that out a little bit. So what I'm going to do is go over to my select move tools, and then I'm going to select, go to UV shells and select the belt. And then I can come up to edit, invert face selection, and then I'm going to go over to display and hide selected. So now I just have the belt. I do have a little bit of that little poly face on the belt there. So it might be easier if I just jump back over to Photoshop and edit my UVs real quick. So I'm going to pause the video. Give me 1 second. I'm just going to go and edit my UVs. All right, so that was a quick fix. I just selected the pants. I went to File, Send to Maya as new scene. I came over to Maya, updated my UVs, and I made sure to delete my history. And then I just came over here and clicked that update button, and it just popped it back into Mudbox. So now we can go in and we can try that again. So let's shift select the belt, and we'll do edit, invert face selection, and then display, hide selected. So now we just have the belt by itself. So now I can focus on just texturing the belt. So first I need to come and make a new layer for that material. So go to paint layers, and we'll just call this belt layer. And I'm trying to show you multiple techniques for texturing here. So what we're going to do here is basically projection texturing. So I'm going to go over to my paint tools, and you have a paintbrush that basically allows you to paint a color. So if we switch this guy to brown, and we could paint brown on that. And if you want to use a stencil, for example, we can use a stencil and get, brown spots or something like that. And but if you want to actually have some color information in your stencil, so the grass, for example, right now I'm painting and it's just black and white, so I'm not getting any color information. So for that, I need to actually use the projection brush. So once I switch to the projection brush, now I'm getting that color information. So, and you can add your own stencils as well. So I actually have one, like a leather stencil that I'm going to add here. So I'm just going to click on that little circle and go to add stencil. And I believe I put it on my desktop. So I have a little leather stencil there. And I can activate that. And over here I have my hotkeys. So if I want to rotate my stencil, I'm going to hold down S, middle mouse button. So that may be something that's easier to do. There we go. It's actually S left mouse button. I read that wrong. So we can just do something like that. And then we can kind of position our belt where we want it to receive some of that texture. And then I can just come in and I can paint some of that leather texture. Now it will start to stretch in areas like there, just because that the polygons are like facing away from that leather texture. So I'm going to go ahead and kind of do as much as I can here. Then I can switch to a smaller brush. And try to correct that stretching there. Okay, and then for the other area, we can just switch that, rotate that around a little bit. So we have something like that. And just fix that little spot right there. And we have the belt with a little bit of a leather pattern on it. Now I can, from here, I can move up in my subdivision levels, and you can see that that caused a little bit more stretching, so maybe a good idea to go ahead and paint those at a higher subdivision level. Fix those spots. you know, now that I think about it, I think that that's actually stretching because of my UV map. So let's jump back into Maya real quick and see if we can fix that. So I haven't changed the model at all, so I can actually just jump back over into Maya and let's look at our UVs. And I think what we need here is we have a couple of these guys that are really close together, and those are the two guys that we need to spread out a little bit. So I'm going to go to UV and I control deselect those and just use my scale tool. Try to scale that out a little bit. Realign those. So I typically, whenever I'm working on something, I'm constantly jumping back and forth from modeling and UVing and texturing. You kind of have to be. So let's move that in, and we'll move these guys over a little bit like that. So now we can just go to edit, delete all by type history, and then we can just click update. And that got rid of our, that actually duplicated some. When you switch back and forth between Maya, you're basically going to get duplicate materials. So what I want to do here, just to start over, is just spacebar, select that first clothing material that I made, and then I can delete these other two. And then we can get back to painting. So make a new layer. So yeah, that's actually working out a lot better. And if we look at it in smooth mode, we'll see that that stretching is going away quite a bit. All right, so there is the belt. So now I can work on the pants. So I'm going to switch over to my pants, my object list, and can select that, and then we can go to display, show selected, and then that'll show the pants. And then we can just do the opposite of what we did before. So we can go over to our select tools, select by UV shell, and I'm going to select the belt. And we will go to display, hide selected. So now I just have the pants that I can work on. So for these, I actually have a canvas texture. So I will add stencil. And oops. Now I could use this color, but his pants have kind of like a I guess kind of like a bluish grayish color. So let's go ahead and paint. Use our paintbrush and see what this is going to do. So I think what I'm going to do here is go to my color and let's make that bluish gray color that we wanted. And then we can go to flood from camera. And we'll just circle around a couple times. And let's make sure our strength is all the way up while we're doing that. Make sure we get everything. And then we can switch to our paintbrush and let's do a sort of like a white or a really light color instead to get that texture. And I'm going to do that. I'm going to do that on a new layer just to sort of make my life a little bit easier. So we'll switch to our canvas. If we do a light color, that way we can get some of that stuff in there. And I can always make this darker later in Photoshop. Trying to avoid painting all the way on an edge because that will give me some stretching, some weird stretching. Once we have all that, we can try some different blending modes here. So maybe multiply isn't going to do much. I think even just normal looks okay if we take the opacity of that way down. Just where it's a little bit of texture in there. And then I can go in and sort of add some dirt and stuff. And again, I'm going to do that on a new layer. So something like that's looking good. Obviously I can go in and, you know, paint like patches and things like that, but I think for our purposes that's looking pretty good. So from here I will go to, again, my pants, and I'll go to display, show all, or show selected. And that just shows the body again, which I will hide. And then we have our textured pants. Okay, and the shirt I'm just going to kind of speed through real quick. It's basically doing the same thing that I've done before. So I'll probably just do a time lapse of me texturing the shirt. Okay, so there's the shirt, pants, and the body. The body is frozen, so just did a hotkey to unfreeze it. Let's go ahead and subdivide that up a couple times so it looks okay. So I got everything textured. The next video I will cover extracting all the maps, bringing them into Photoshop, normal maps, ambient occlusion maps, and so on.